As the sun began its ascent over the rugged landscape of Arizona, I found myself staring out of my bedroom window at the vast expanse of the Country Royale dairy farm. The farm was my sanctuary, a place where dreams seemed to stretch as far as the endless horizons. But within me, there was a longing for something more, a yearning for a life that held greater meaning, a purpose beyond the farm's tranquil embrace. My name is Cindy, and I'm a dreamer. The farm was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but there were times when I felt like a wildflower trapped in a meadow. A part of me knew that I was meant for more, that my heart craved adventures beyond the familiar pastures. My days were often spent tending to the animals and helping my grandparents with chores around the farm. It was during these times that I would retreat into my own thoughts, weaving stories of far-off lands and heroic journeys. One fateful afternoon, as I was lost in thought, the tranquility of the farm was shattered by the sound of hurried footsteps and panicked voices. Rushing outside, I found my grandfather, his face etched with worry. He didn't have to say a word, I knew something was terribly wrong. We found my grandmother, Ella, in the barn, clutching her chest. Time seemed to slow as my heart raced in tandem with the urgency of the moment. My grandfather's trembling hands dialed for help, and soon an ambulance arrived to whisk her away to the hospital. The world spun around me, a chaotic blur of sirens and anxious faces. In the sterile confines of the hospital, the doctor's words hung heavy in the air. Ella's heart was weak, and her time was slipping through our fingers like grains of sand. I visited Ella every day, holding her fragile hand and praying for a miracle. One afternoon, as the sun bathed the room in a warm glow, Ella's eyes fluttered open. Her gaze met mine, and in that instant, I felt a connection that transcended words. Tears streamed down my face as I clung to her hand, afraid to let go. "My dear Cindy, don't weep for me," she whispered. "I've lived a long and beautiful life, filled with love and memories that will never fade." And then, with a voice as delicate as a sigh, she began to share a story that would forever alter the course of my own. She spoke of a humble housekeeper, a young woman whose life was a canvas painted with shades of hardship and heartache. Ella's voice wove a tapestry of the past, bringing to life a tale of adversity and transformation. The housekeeper's life changed forever at a grand party, where fate cast her gaze upon a man whose presence would kindle the flames of love. As Ella recounted the events of the past, I could almost smell the perfume of long-forgotten blossoms and hear the strains of music from eras gone by. In the glow of twilight, Ella's voice grew faint, her strength waning like the setting sun. She told me that this housekeeper's story was intertwined with her own, and that I, too, was part of this intricate narrative. How could my life be linked to a story that seemed plucked from the pages of a fairy tale? She spoke of a daughter, a gift born from the love between the housekeeper and the man she had met at the party. This daughter, my mother, was the embodiment of their love, a beacon of light in their lives. Tragedy struck when my mother passed away while giving birth to me, a bittersweet beginning that marked the end of one chapter and the start of another. As Ella's breath grew shallow, she revealed the depth of her love and the sacrifice that had shaped our family's legacy. My mother's death had left a void, one that Ella and my grandfather, Charles, had filled with unwavering devotion. They had taken me in, raising me as their own, showering me with a love that transcended blood ties. A fit of coughing overtook Ella, her frail form trembling as she fought for breath. I held her hand, my heart aching at the sight of her pain. She pressed on, her voice a mere whisper now, sharing the most astonishing part of her tale, a secret hidden beneath the veil of time. "Under my bed," she gasped, her voice fragile like a porcelain figurine, "there is a gold box. Inside that box, you'll find a gift that will prove the truth of our story. A gift that will reveal the tapestry of our lives, woven together through love, loss, and the inexorable march of time." With her last ounce of strength, Ella's eyes locked onto mine, her gaze a constellation of emotions. "Remember, my dear," she said, her voice barely audible, "it's not a fairy tale, it's all true." As the room filled with medical personnel, their urgency a stark contrast to the fragile peace that had settled between Ella and me. I knew that her time was drawing to a close. The heart monitor's steady rhythm faltered, its beeps slowing until they melded into a somber silence. Ella's hand slipped from mine, her eyes closing as if she were drifting into a slumber. The world around me shifted as nurses rushed in, their voices a chorus of urgency. I was ushered away from Ella's bedside, my vision blurred by tears. My grandfather stood nearby, his face etched with a sorrow that mirrored my own. The doctor's voice was a distant murmur, confirming what we already knew: Ella had left us. Friends and family came to pay their respects, sharing stories of Ella's kindness and wisdom. I listened, my heart both heavy and uplifted by their words. Amidst the sea of faces, my gaze kept returning to a photograph, a snapshot frozen in time. It was the only photograph I had of my mother, a woman I had never known. In the photo, she was radiant, her smile as bright as the Arizona sun. She was a mystery, a piece of my past that had slipped through my fingers like grains of sand. With each passing day, as the farm returned to its routines and the world moved on, I found solace in the act of sifting through old family photos. I'd hold the photos up to the light, studying the faces captured in time. But my fingers would inevitably linger on the photo of my mother, and a pang of longing would wash over me. The day of Ella's funeral arrived, a gray sky mirroring the somber atmosphere that enveloped the farm. Friends, family, and neighbors gathered beneath a canvas of clouds, their solemn faces a testament to the impact Ella had made on their lives. The ceremony concluded, leaving behind an emptiness that echoed in the hearts of all who had known Ella. As the afternoon sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the farm, I found myself standing before her bedroom door. With a hesitant breath, I pushed the door open, the creak of wood a mournful melody. My gaze fell upon the neatly made bed, the sunlight streaming through the window casting a warm glow upon the room. The scent of lavender lingered in the air, a familiar comfort that wrapped around me like a shawl. My eyes were drawn to the space beneath the bed, the place where secrets were kept and treasures were stored. Kneeling down, I reached under the bed and my fingers brushed against something cool and metallic. With gentle care, I pulled out a weathered, golden box. My heart raced with a mix of anticipation and trepidation as I cradled the box in my hands. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, I carefully lifted the lid, revealing a folded piece of parchment resting on a bed of faded silk. The parchment crackled as I unfolded it, revealing elegant handwriting that seemed to dance across the page. I read about the housekeeper, a woman whose spirit had refused to be crushed by the weight of her circumstances. I followed her journey as she found unexpected love at a party, a love that would change the course of her life forever. My heart swelled with emotion as the story reached its crescendo, the birth of a daughter, my mother. The words on the parchment painted a vivid picture of the love that had blossomed between Ella and Charles, a love that had extended to embrace me, an orphan child in need of a home. But it was the final passages of the story that left me breathless, tears blurring the words as I read them over and over again. The last lines of the story spoke of a glass slipper, a symbol of transformation, of embracing one's true identity. As tears cascaded down my cheeks, I turned my attention to the folded silk beneath the parchment. Gently lifting it, I uncovered a delicate glass slipper, a tangible connection to the narrative that had woven our lives together. In that moment, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the farm was cloaked in the tender embrace of dusk, I felt a profound sense of belonging. As I cradled the glass slipper in my hands, I knew that Ella's story was no longer confined to the pages of a parchment. Ella's words echoed in my mind, "It's not a fairy tale, it's all true." With each step I took, I felt her presence beside me, guiding me through the pages of my own story. The farm thrived, a testament to the resilience of both the land and the human spirit. And as I stood amidst the rustling wheat fields and watched the sun set over the horizon, I knew that my journey had only just begun, a journey that would honor the past, embrace the present, and light the way toward a future filled with purpose and meaning.